Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and in this video, I'm gonna be talking about the importance of having an emergency fund. It's gonna be story time, my personal experience to you, and hopefully this video does help you guys out, okay? An emergency fund is very important to have. Obviously, the importance of having an emergency fund is the title of the video, okay? But it really is. Why? Because sometimes stuff happens, tragedy happens. Sometimes when you're trying to put your best foot forward, something, in this world always tries to pull you back, all right? And I want to give you guys a story to what happened to me recently, and hopefully it helps you guys out to be better prepared, because since I was prepared, it didn't really affect me as much. So hopefully this experience can help you guys out to make sure you guys have an emergency fund and be better prepared later on in the future, all right? And as a reminder, in my channel, I like to talk about financial independence and investments. If that's something you guys do like, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, smash the like button. It helps the channel out tremendously. All right, guys, so let's get on with the video. Plain and simple, one of the most unexpected expenses is when your car messes up. Nobody's ever prepared for the car to break down in the middle of the road. No one is ever prepared for that stuff, all right? But you could be financially prepared to fix it, all right? So the story is this. My fiance was driving to go pick something up. I forgot what she was gonna go pick up, all right? And my daughter was in the back seat. And she was driving, and out of nowhere, she called me. She's like, hey, Chris, I hear a noise in the car. And I said, okay, no problem. Pull to the side of the road, open up, see what's going on. And see what's happening. And she doesn't really have too much experience with cars, but she saw something, peeking out the hood. So she opened up the hood and she noticed that one of the belts, it was real thin. And then when she touched it, like it just crumbled apart. All right. So she's like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? All right. And right now we only have one car. We share the car because we're saving up some money for a big purchase, a house actually. So I was at home, prepping some videos for you guys to make sure you guys like the content and all this stuff. And I really didn't know what to do when she told me, like, dang, and I couldn't really do nothing. So I called the tow truck guy. I was gonna get an Uber to go help her out to see what I could do. At that time it was 10 o'clock at night. You can't really do nothing. No mechanics are open at 10 o'clock at night. And if you know a mechanic that's open at 10 o'clock at night in the Miami area, please let me know. That mechanic is gonna have real good business for me. But luckily her father was around the area and he passed by to help her out, okay? And he's really good with his hands, so he was trying to see what he could do. But the belt was off. It was completely destroyed. It snapped in half. And as you know, like all these auto places that sell parts for cars, they were closed around that time, so we couldn't really do nothing. My girl, she wanted to save money. She didn't want to take the tow truck. She didn't want to waste $120 to get the car towed from where she was to our house. And she wasn't really far from our house, all right? And long story short, it was a little bit farther than what I expected. So she ended up going to parking it by my mom's house, all right? It was literally a block away, so she waited for the car to cool down a little bit. And, she moved the car, she parked it there, left everything off, all the keys. And the thing is, that belt, if you don't have that belt, the engine starts to overheat. So she can't drive that car without messing up the engine of the car, all right? So it was a good thing, it's not a good thing, but it was kind of a good thing that she stopped, and it happened by my mom's house. So she left the car by my mom's house. She came back home, and we gathered our thoughts to see what we could do. Okay, she came in sad, but I told her, don't be sad. Remember, we have an emergency fund. We have an emergency stash. All right, that's what it is, for emergencies. We have that money, and just in case stuff like this happens. Okay, so what we did is the next day in the morning, we got some money from it. We had to walk to the auto parts. We bought the belt. We bought the belt. We went to my mom's house. We asked my stepdad, my grandpa, and myself. We were there trying to fix it. We didn't hire a mechanic. All the mechanics were busy, and all the mechanics are full. Miami has a lot of traffic, a lot of car accidents, all that stuff. Miami. All right, so whatever. Long story short, we fixed it. Luckily, we had the money, so we didn't have to really waste it on stuff we're trying to use for investments or trying to save. We used our emergency money to fix the car. All right, cars are the biggest pain in the butt there is. Everybody always has trouble and always struggles when their car breaks down. All right, so it's always important to have some money just in case your car breaks down. Sometimes the brakes for the car, they get worn out. Okay, if you're not saving it, you're gonna have to pay a mechanic for parts and a mechanic for labor. Okay, so then you're gonna be paying something that you're not prepared for. So mentally, you're gonna get stressed, and mentally you're gonna get depressed. Okay, and that's not a really good thing. It's always good to have an emergency fund. Okay, I remember when we first bought the car, it needed a whole bunch of repairs, but luckily we had some money stashed away, so nothing really happened. Like, we already knew, like, look, we're gonna get a car and we have to fix it up. So we saved up money for the car and for the for emergencies and the repairs. Okay, and that's basically the moral of the story. Like, when we were fixing the belt, we had to buy tools that we didn't know we needed to change the belt. Like, we're not mechanics, we're not prepared for those tools. So that specific tool cost $75. The belt cost $40. And all the time we were there in the hot sun, it's whatever. And then, I had to give something to my grandpa, to make sure, for helping me out. And, it is what it is. But the moral of the story is always have something stashed. It's very important to be prepared in whatever situation, whether if it's your car's messing up or your roof starts to leak. You always have to make sure you have, there's something called CapEx. In real estate, it's CapEx, like capital expenditures. Just in case, like, your roof starts to leak or something bad happens, or if you have a pet and it just destroys the door, you always have money to do those repairs and those fixes. Okay, so an emergency fund for me is very important. This is just one story. I've heard many other stories that that have just baffled me. There was a friend of mine that lives in a corner of the street down here in Miami. Another Miami story. All right, and it was late night and somebody lost control of the car, and that specific person ran into the fence and left. Boom. Like, I guess that person was in trouble or whatever, and just, I guess, did a hit and run in the fence. Broke in, I guess because he lost control or was he drunk? I don't know. Miami. Went in, he went in from the front, came in through the back, and he just disappeared, gone. And, my friend, luckily he was prepared and he had an emergency fund, because the insurances, they weren't going to pay for nothing, or they weren't going to give him enough money to face the entire project. But luckily, again, he had something stashed and helped him out. You get me? He didn't get depressed. He didn't get frustrated. Things happen, especially down here in Miami. A whole bunch of stuff happens all the time. Not all bad. A lot of good stuff down here in Miami. A lot of good people too. But my friend, again, he had some money stashed up to help fix this fence, to help fix all the repairs that needed to be fixed. Okay, and it is what it is. Sometimes you cannot stop the inevitable. Sometimes you cannot stop, tragedy from happening. Okay, sometimes your car will give out. Sometimes, your roof will start to leak. Stuff happens. All right, and if you haven't noticed by now that things tend to happen at the wrong time, it's very important to understand that. It's very important to know, saving some money, saving $1 a day, maybe, just to be prepared. $1 a day is $30 a month. Okay, if nothing happens between the first 5 months, you have a couple $100 to help out in any way you can. Trust me, a couple $100 helps out in a repair at the end of the day. And that's basically the moral of the story. Always be prepared. The importance of an emergency fund is very important. And the sad part is that not many people have an emergency fund. Not many people get prepared. Not many people care about being prepared for the future. Not many people care about, I'll let my dad fix it. I'll let this mechanic fix it. But that's not the point. The point is to save money. The point is not to waste the hard-working dollars that you're making from your sources of income or your 9-to-5 job. The point is to not be stressed, to not be frustrated. Okay, if you have an emergency fund, that's giving you guys leverage to be financially free later on in the future. Because, God forbid, what if a hurricane comes, again, Miami, a hurricane comes and just tears the whole roof off, which is unlikely, but you know what I mean. And just tears the roof off. You have no insurance. What do? Your emergency fund, okay? But if you don't have an emergency fund, what do you do there? That's the issue. You're gonna be struggling. You're gonna be trying to, get some change from the floors, pennies, and that's not the way people should be living. People should be prepared for the future, and having an emergency fund is one of those steps to be prepared for the future. Let's just say nothing happens for the first couple of years that your car, nothing really happens. Let's say the money for the 2 years for your emergency fund is still there. So let's say in year 3 something does happen, you have enough money to fix it and then some. All right, and that's basically the moral of the story, the moral of this video. All right, I know I talk a lot about investments and financial independence, and an emergency fund, it's a step to being financially free. Okay, it's to make sure you have a plan B, C, D, all the way to Z. An emergency fund is plan B. All right, plan A, it's your 9 to 5 job and always saving in your savings account. But having cash on hand and having an emergency fund could really help you guys out and leverage a little bit more. All right, guys. So I do hope you guys enjoyed story time and enjoyed the video. And again, if you guys got any value from this video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, smash the like button. It helps people out and it gets pushed out to people that really need it. So please help me out to help them out. All right. Until next time, have a great day. Be safe. Get an emergency fund.